This is Robert Demers for ConMen here at the Montreal Comiccon, and I'm here talking with Scott Mallory, who is showing off some of his children's books. Can you please tell our audience a little bit what you're showing here today?
Sure. The main character of these books is named Boris, and he has a really bad accident in the first book. That's why they nickname him Bad-Off Boris, and he has to overcome all of that. He makes a huge discovery in this place called Cupcake Cave, and it's kind of basically like a gateway for kids to get into monster books, but also if you're into the monster books, I think adults would like it too. And the first book, Bad-Off Boris and the Cupcake Cave-In, is already out, but then the new book, which is the Shoo, is actually inspired by Quebec, because I'm originally from the U.S. I moved here for my wife's job, and then I was here right when all the political stuff was going on, and it was interesting as an outsider to see the English-French thing. And so that's really inspired as far as the language barrier or going back and forth, because that was really intriguing to me. But it still incorporates monsters and some more of the universal characters such as the Wolfman and stuff like that.
So the classic characters like Wolfman and Frankenstein were a big influence on you growing up?
Yeah, I'm huge into old films. I actually have Super 8 and 16mm projectors, and I still have all the old monster movies, and I like to go ahead and play those in the basement for the kids on the big screen. But I'm a huge fan, and the artist here, Robbie Brown, is all about the classic Universal characters too. So it was like a perfect thing for us to work on together.
How much influence did you give the artist to create these characters and inspirations to the classic characters?
Basically, when I wrote it, even though it's a children's book, I basically wrote a screenplay of like, this is what I want the world to look like, this is what I want the characters. But then once that was kind of conceived and handed off to him, I let him do his thing, because I know he's super creative and super talented, so I didn't want to step on that at all. So, and like I said, he's a huge monster guy, so he just kind of took the ball and ran with it.
I find that children's, because this can be considered a little bit of a comic book, besides being a children's book. You don't see too many children-oriented comics nowadays. Do you think that it should be more out there? Because it is really an untapped market.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of what my idea was for the children's book with the monster theme, is that kids are into monsters and kids love this stuff, and it's very much, if you look at the book, it's almost very much like a graphic novel as far as the quality of the art and everything like that. So I thought it'd be perfect, and little boys gravitate to it a lot, but girls like it too. And I think the second book actually has more female characters in it to try to bring the girls into the whole realm of it too.
I've noticed a lot of children-oriented media has been taking a little more darker tone, as in your book. Do you think it is something that children it's just like a normal thing, or it might be a little bit pushing it a bit?
I think that if you read this book, there's a challenging concept in it, because one of the main characters gets hurt and he has to overcome a pretty big injury. But at the same time, I mean, if you go way back to fairy tales, that stuff was pretty dark. And each book that I've done, both of them have a message that I think is pretty important and positive for kids. So it reinforces those things, but at the same time, it's an enjoyable story. And there's two layers to it. This is a kid's book with a certain theme, but also if you're an adult, there's another theme in there too. Like, actually, believe it or not, this first book deals with being downsized and how to overcome that. This book is about exclusion that's coming out. So it's little themes that kind of seep into the kids' heads too, or maybe the adults think about it and they can talk to the kids with it. But I think even with the different darker images, especially in this book, just because a character looks different, I don't want that to be a negative thing. I want that to be, it's okay to look different. Just because it looks like it's a creature doesn't mean it's a scary thing, and that was kind of my whole push for it.
And where can our audience find your book on the web?
Well, the Bad-Off Boris and Cupcake Cave-In is available on Amazon, and it's also available on Kindle. And then this will be available on Amazon next month, and then usually takes about 2 months after that to get it on Kindle. So hopefully the big plan is I'm going to do a third book, and then I could get maybe a company like IDW or something where they take it and they make it into a graphic novel or a collection and get it out to the masses more that way. But first I have to get these books out there, generate a fan base, and then hopefully with the third book I could get a collection going, and maybe another publisher would put it out there for me.
Well, thank you very much for talking with us, and I hope you enjoy your rest of the time here at the Montreal Comiccon.
Definitely. Thanks for talking to me.